what's going to be? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast Rolling Stone Magazine describes as the one that initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to cover the creative workflow of the favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire building code CPPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Links in the description of the podcast below. If you look on millionpodcast.com, they list the top 100 podcasts in many different categories. Go to metal music. Here on the Chord Progression Podcast, we are ranked 14th. 13 spots to go to number 1. Can we get there? We will see. But now it's time for a feature presentation. We're bringing you a band that is mixing metalcore, hardcore rap, and manga all at the same time from Paris, France. We've got B from the band Rise of the Northstar on the podcast with us today with the brand new album Chapter 4, Red Falcon Super Battle, Paris War, coming out on November 14th. Not only do we talk about how manga has been a big part of French culture for quite some time, and how the band is starting to see a lot more of that consistency, connectivity to that idea from across the world now that manga has become a little bit more popular. But we also talk about the uniqueness of the music, bringing in influences from where they came from in terms of their culture, but also the songs on the album that have not been released yet that you should be watching out for. You guys ready? Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. I saw this band come across my email as dubbed as metalcore meets hardcore meets rap meets manga. And I'm just thinking, how do all four of those things actually work together? I didn't think it was going to make any sense until I actually put on some of the music from this band's brand new album. And then I said, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So if you're into any of those four things, you are absolutely going to enjoy this. Their fourth album, Chapter 4, Red Falcon Super Battle, Paris War, comes out on November 14th. And they're going to be supporting it with a headline run throughout Europe and Latin America with support from D's Nuts, Get the Shot, and Half Me, which is amazing because I'm thinking, I've seen a number of these bands before. I haven't seen this one. I hope I get the chance to. So please welcome B from Rise of the Northstar to the podcast. So B, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on as we are right up to the release of the brand new album. One of my consistent questions I ask is, well, how are you feeling going into the release? Like, what are the overall feelings for you, but also Rise of the Northstar as well, right before album release day?
Yeah, like every album, I think we're pretty much excited to finally hear the feedbacks from the people. This is like, most of the time for each band, you probably got the album since maybe 1 year before the release. So if you listen to it so many times, you just have your like closest friends who listen to it and have some feedback. But yeah, we can't wait for the release and finally see what the fans are going to say about it.
Well, you have released a couple of singles so far already. Of course, the full album is not out right now. On November 14th, you will get to see not only what the fans are going to say, but the rest of the metal community is going to say. But since the singles have been released, what has been that reception from fans so far? Not only fans of the band that have been there for quite some time, but people that are just discovering you for the first time.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing so far. I mean, we have so much good like receive and the people are so nice. I saw that a lot of comments that people discovered the band with the new singles, which is very good. I know in terms of like songwriting and production, we did something different from the past album, like more modern stuff like this. So maybe we will grab some new people with this. And the last single, Falcon, that we released, we have some singing part in the chorus, which is pretty new for us. And we were like, we don't know how like the fans will receive it, because sometimes when you do metal hardcore with only screaming and you had some singing, it's kind of where the point where people like they go mainstream. But for us, we only had like positive vibes, so it's pretty amazing.
I would assume you'd only have positive vibes after Falcon release, and it wouldn't be based on like, oh, you guys went mainstream, you guys sold out, because it's no longer just completely heavy all the way through. It's as the career of Rise of the Northstar continues to build, as you guys continue to grow as musicians, and as time goes on, influences change, ideas change. But I think the real key is how the song was built and how the song progresses, because it does have a little bit more of this upbeat, as I call it, the upbeat bounce to it. They remind me of a little bit of, if you listen to the song 10 Miles Wide by Escape the Fate, the way it bounces, it really has this consistent flow to it. So when you
All right.
do a little bit more of that clean singing for a chorus, it fits more of what the song is actually calling for, rather than trying to force in something that's so heavy and unclean that it doesn't necessarily make sense for the overall song structure that you created to that point.
Definitely. And this is, where if you read a lot of interviews of the band, you can see that most of the influences we have is new metal.
Mm-hmm.
So, new metal, there were always singing parts. So we just took some times. We had to find the good song, the good sound to make it happen. And it's only a short thing, so it's not that much in the chorus, but yeah, it's a new way of expression, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also a refined way of expression. You're finding different ways to get the sound and get the overall idea of what this song is going to be about out in different ways. You're not completely boxing yourselves into it has to stay heavy in those specific aspects. Bringing up new metal as the inspiration is perfect examples of that, because you listen and some of the biggest new metal bands out there, you listen to Korn, you listen to Slipknot, they have consistent clean singing parts in those songs as well. It's not all heavy, aggressive, get after it every single point in time. Some of the best songs those bands have ever written have some of the nicest choruses you would ever find from them.
Of course.
So it stands to reason that as time goes on, eventually you're going to incorporate some of those things into your music, because it makes sense, not because of that. Sometimes fans will say, oh, they sold out, which clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, definitely. And we had some work to do also, because Vici, the singer, this is not like his stuff to do, like singing. It's very hard for him. So yeah, he had to practice. We had to find the good way to do it. And yeah, we're pretty much happy about it. So it's nice.
Oh, I'd be pretty happy about it too. One thing that also stood out to me about the band is its very heavy connection to overall with manga and everything around there. And I had talked to my girlfriend about this plenty of times, because she's been all into this as well. She remembers back when, like, I would say, like, like the early late 2000s, maybe early 2010s, where something like this was not really all that popular in pop culture, where a lot of people, if you were in school and you liked this stuff, you were consistently made fun of and bullied for it. But now in 2025 and over the past couple of years, it has become not only much more popular amongst a bunch of people, but also very consistent in the mainstream. So have you noticed a more consistent following with the band, with how closely you guys are tied to manga over the past couple of years with this explosion in popularity?
Well, kind of. The thing is, to make the story short, in France, like mangas and anime is huge. It's huge because in the 90s for us, there were anime all over on the TV shows. So we had um like um like 20 years before America, before all these even European countries, we were watching this all the time. So our generation that are turning right now 30s, 40s, it's a huge part of our identity. So at the start of the band in France, it was already working. Like the people who were watching mangas and anime, they were digging the band. Like I know all the references and all that stuff, which happened too in Japan when the first time we went to Japan. So and I don't know if in Europe we had this kind of same vibe when we went to Latin America, because even there they had this strong connection with Japanese subculture, and maybe it evolved, but I can still see the difference when we go outside of France, because in France, like the fans are very very into all this Japanese culture, and outside they're more into the music. So it didn't change that much to in my impression, I guess.
Okay, I was expecting maybe a little bit on the other end, but then again, this is coming from the perspective from a completely different country where animated manga was nowhere near as prevalent as it was or as it has been over the past 5 to 10 years in its growth and popularity. What I had no idea about was over the course, growing up, especially like, go back to the 90s, early 2000s, in France, that this was very, very, very prominent. And this was something that was much more popularized compared to anywhere else within Europe or even over here in the United States as well. It does make sense to the point where if you guys went over to Japan, like they would get the references, the popularity there. I was not expecting Latin America to be one of those, but it makes sense why you're doing a headlining run in Latin America, because there is a connection to that overall, all the references, all the backing behind the band, and all the different pieces in the lyrics that you've overall created.
Yeah, there is maybe like a connection between this stuff, but yeah, yeah, in France it was, and it's huge. It's very huge. We are like the second markets of um like buying mangas and stuff like this after Japan. We even bigger than America in these things. So yeah, it's very crazy. And you got also in Spain. Spain, it's kind of the same stuff. It's huge too, but yeah, that's why Vicha. So Vicha is the singer who created the band, and that's how he just created the band that he wanted to see when he was a teenager. Like when he was 13, 14, he was already like reading all those stuff, and he was, man, why there is no band that are playing violent music and mixing with the manga imagery? It's to him, he was like, this is so cool, so I'm gonna do it when we will be older. So that's how it happened, I guess.
That is kind of a cool way to see how that happens. The thing that still stands out to me, though, is what you also said about how outside of France, throughout the rest of Europe, or if you came over to America as well, it's less about all the references and less about like the story that's behind the band, but more about the music itself. And that also maybe stands to reason why there's a little bit more of that explosion in popularity behind Rise of the Northstar over the last couple of years. And I think it's more of the way that the consistent world of heavy music has gone, where people are much more open to things that are being a lot more experimental and wild and going in different directions. Like, again, you're mixing metalcore, hardcore, rap, and manga all together in a world now where people are, I'm not going to say it's like the popular thing to do, but it's like people are craving something that's more unique and not just a consistent, the same pattern, the same sound over and over again, like they would have been in metalcore back in like 2014, 2015.
Yeah, definitely. It's very well. The first thing is right now you have to give something unique
Mm-hmm.
because there is so many bands. It's crazy. So to get out of all those bands, you have to propose something authentic, and that people will. It's good because if you talk about manga and metal, you will think about Rise of the Northstar if
Mm-hmm.
you know the band, of course. But this is maybe a simpler way to describe us, but at the same time, you you identify us very quickly, which is good because there is not that much band who do this. So yeah, I don't know, it's cool.
Oh, I would say it's good, but it also just, you make a great point. It's people are looking for that something that's unique. We can go online and we can even like bring up all the things that are going on with AI and Spotify right now. It's just oversaturating the market with bands that are going to end up like you're trying to make the same sounds over and over and over again just because a unique band found a unique sound, and it's okay, let me type this into a computer and let's recreate this whole entire thing without any care or any work. But hey,
Yeah,
we made something new, look at this. It's when people find that authentic thing, when they find something that is completely original to what they're listening to, and it's got that heavy feel to it, they're going to gravitate towards it. They're going to find something that's interesting in it. And you may end up finding more bands that end up trying to like take influences from that and put that in their own music. That's a great piece because now you have something that not only you created as an artist, as a band, but that is influencing so many other bands to maybe take a piece, reflect on it, import it into their music, and then transform it into something that is completely their own, because you
yeah.
guys have taken so many different ideas and mixed them together in a way that works for you.
that's what is that's something very important, I think, for the next generation in metal. The thing is, we right now in the world, we are all listening to the same music, and we don't have any specific cities, though, how you say that, specific things
Hmm.
on each country, which made everyone sounding the same. Like right now, it's like I want to sound like Bring Me the Horizon, Architects, and stuff like this, Parkway Drive. But before, I mean, in the 90s and early 2000, you can hear something and you can sometimes find the country because there was something more coming out from this country, from the, I don't know, the popular music and stuff like this that will influence them and then put them into the songs. And right now, it's like you can't even identify if they are Japanese, if they're American, if they are German, if they're from South America, because they all do the same things, which is kind of sad, I think. But that's how the world is going right now. But yeah, sometimes you have to, I don't know, take what's coming out from your tradition, your country. Like when you see, there is some big bands coming out from East Asia,
Hmm.
the Who, stuff like this. They put traditional thing, and they're, yeah, you're unique. You're using where the instruments where you come from and stuff like this, and it is amazing. It's amazing to do this compared to trying to reproduce like the biggest American bands or English band and stuff like that. So I think that's something that the people have to work on, I guess.
Not necessarily work on, but just embrace your own cultural roots as well, because it's going to give a uniqueness to the music overall. Bringing up The Who is a great example. Another one I was going to bring up is Bloody Wood from India, because on
Yeah.
their album this year, I cannot remember the name of the song, but it literally sounds like a heavy metal Bollywood song. And I'm like, this is
Yeah.
perfect for them. You listen to it, you know exactly where they're from, you know exactly where what like culture they're a part of, and that they took a lot of influence from, and they infuse that into their music. You still see it with a good amount of Japanese bands as well, but I do
Yeah,
agree
baby
with you. It's
metal.
like you see, yeah, you're seeing it. But I do agree with you. You're seeing a lot of that influx in some Latin American bands, Australian bands, American bands, and European bands, where they're all starting to funnel together. And a lot of the times, the only way you're able to really tell what country they're from is if you're listening to the music, the vocalists come in and you hear a little bit of that accent when they're working through English vocals. You can hear that in French. You can hear that when it's from a German band. You can hear it sometimes from some of the Scandinavian countries, but it gets
Mhm.
less and less impactful because you're not hearing some of those cultural roots come through in the songs anymore. You're
Yeah,
not hearing it as
definitely.
strong, and if you do have them in there, you get to sound like The Who, or you get to sound like Bloody Wood, where you just want to listen to it more and more because it is not only unique, but it is so authentically who that artist is.
Yeah, definitely. And just to be clear, I'm not saying that it's not good to try to make the
Mm-hmm.
same kind of music, but it's just so much interesting. And yeah, you can have the people following you because you do, as we say since the beginning, you just do something unique, and that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not trying to say don't take other influences. What it is embrace all the influences that are around you
Yeah.
in life, because if you grew up where I grew up, or like even in America, if you grew up where I grew up, or if you grew up in Southern California and Los Angeles, or you grew up in New York, we're all going to have different ways of way we think,
Mm,
different ways of where we're inspired because of our overall surroundings, the overall culture that we're around.
mm.
Embrace that, and you can potentially use a good amount of that, of what you've learned throughout life, or the sounds that you listen to throughout your upbringing, in your music, and it's going to have a unique flavor to it.
Yeah, and also in well, I'd say it for myself and some of the band in France. Like we know, like metal comes from America and England for most of the part, and we know that you do that so well. So we have to add something more than just trying to reproduce it to be more to like to get attention, because we are not going to make it better, I think. So yeah, that's how I maybe people should think about creating music, is just take all these influences and add something more, add something from yourself, from the culture, the tradition and stuff, and yeah, maybe you'll make it.
It's less about trying to make what already is better and making what already is your own as an artist. And then that's where some of that massive growth comes off. Use Bring Me the Horizon. Bring Me the Horizon didn't get to be Bring Me the Horizon because they were trying to be like every other band. It was because they had ideas, they were influenced by certain things, and they tried to make them their own. I mean, you listen to every single album, it's different because they tried different things, because they weren't afraid to be open to that experience. And now when you bring up the name Bring Me the Horizon, I mean, people go ape crazy to go and try and see him live. It's
definitely.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Well, one question I always like to ask, especially when there's new music coming out, is something like this. And it's to get people more interested in the album, be like, okay, I'm not only interested in the album right now, but when it comes out on November 14th, I want to make sure I am like got my peak interest on it. So I know there have been a number of singles that have been released off the album that everyone can go listen to as of this moment. We are going to take those songs and not consider them because everyone has a chance to listen to them, and I want to focus on the ones that people have not listened to yet. So out of the songs that are not singles, which is the song you are most excited for people to hear and why?
So I think the first song. Did you listen to the album?
Yes, I did.
Not yet. Yeah. Okay. Well, there's so many. I guess one of my favorite outside of the singles is Payback. So this is the song just after the intro, and this was a very strong song. It was a single for us, but we thought like, hey, let's just not put out this one, and when the people will discover the album, it will be the first song, and it will have a much more impact. And I love this song. I just love it. I love the chorus. I love the breakdown, and this is like it kind of it's a song that could be on the last album on Showdown because it kind of sounded the same way in the writing. But yeah, I love this song. But there is so many. I'll put three songs. This one I put Nemesis, with the song with the featuring with the Iron Mats from 1056. It was so nice to work with him. I remember I went to their headlining show in Paris in Trabendo, like maybe 5 months ago, I guess. And we just met after the show, like have a chat. And he came to me and he's saying, "Man, are you going to do new song with Rise of the Northstar? I want to be on one of them. I want to do something with you guys." And I say, "You know what? I got a song, and I think it's the most heaviest song we did with Rise of the Northstar." And we were like, put it aside because it was, I don't know, we just put it aside a little bit. And I thought, yeah, man, if you got to do something, you have to be on this song. And yeah, we just recorded it like in one day. It was so easy, so fast. Aaron is an amazing singer, so I'll put this one, and I also put Desolation Oak, so the last song before the outro. Yeah, I love. One thing that changed in the band is so we had two new members two years ago, the drummer and the bass player. And the bass player, Yoru, is an amazing guy who he do a lot of beats, like hip hop beats. I did some in the past album, but that's not the kind of stuff that I like to do, and I'm not very good at it. And he's so good. And he also do all the I don't know, we say scratch, like the scratching things.
Yeah.
And he do with the real ones, like this is not computer, this is real scratch. And he had so much in this album, because all the beats that's Yoru who did it. And for Desolation Oak, the song started with the beats, so he sended me the beats that you can hear in the beginning of the song, and then I created all the like the guitar parts and all the song around this. And yeah, it's I think those three, Payback, Nemesis, Desolation Oaks, are my favorite ones.
I think you picked a couple of good ones there. Specifically for me with Payback, you brought up a little bit more like that chorus as well. What I really liked about that chorus specifically in Payback was it did have a little bit more of that reflection back to the intro pace of the song, but the bounce that it had allowed for this new kind of like hardcore aggression that had a very reminiscent pattern that seemed like it was inspired. Like I already brought them up, but Bloody Wood. So I'm already seeing taking these ideas from like, okay, we're inspired by these other bands. How can we take that idea, essentially be influenced by it, but make it our own? And that was what happened here. The pattern really had this feel that it was inspired by that, but it gets you into the song so quickly that you are just immersed in it. And that being the first song off of like the initial intro, okay, this was the perfect way to jump into the album in my mind. Bringing on Aaron for Nemesis, I'm still looking at this, and I put overall, this song shows me that Rise of the Northstar should be potentially doing more vocal features, because when you guys add them in there, it allows the rest of the band to do something a little bit different than what is already anticipated, but it creates the songs in a much, much better way because it allows you to go in so many different directions. This one allowed that, especially with Aaron's vocals being a lot more essentially aggressive and being able to contrast against the rest of the song. As the bass guitar created this consistent flow throughout, Nemesis was the one that was probably my favorite on the overall album. So
Nice.
if that's the ones you're like, I'm excited for people to hear on release day, that's the one I'm like, yeah, I think you're right on that one, because I feel the same way.
Nice, nice. We the thing is we always wanted to do featuring with some singers. The thing is the two past album are very special. They are, you know, this old story with the yokai, with the kind of Japanese spirit, and it was very hard to bring someone else into those albums because they were very specific. And yeah, the at first the thing that happened, little short story from the album. So we started to the first song we recorded was Back to Basic with Florence Alfati from Landmvrks, and it was not supposed to be on the album first because we wanted to release as a single, like just alone. And so we had this song, and we were not happy about the chorus. I think it was melodic, and we were like, man, we have to find a very good singer on this one, and find a very good top lane over it. And like we just thought about Flo, of course. We sent him the songs. He said, man, let's go. It's gonna be awesome. So he sent us back the song with the chorus. It was actually the one that you can hear on the song. And he proposed himself to do the mixing and mastering of the song. And he sent us back, and we were like, okay, Flo, you're just gonna do the album. It's gonna be easy. And that's how like the collaboration started. And in the end, we wanted to put it on the album. And yeah, starting with Flo, we said, hey, let's have another one. Let's have another one. And yeah, Aaron come by, and yeah, it was awesome. And also, I have to say that Flo just nailed it. Like the production, the mixing, and the mastering is awesome. We wanted to have that touch of modernity into the sound without like being that we know in French we say it's cold when it's too digital.
Yeah.
And but I think we find a good like a good cross path between this modernity and organic sound, which we love. And yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. So
I
nailed it.
think I think you may have said it best, bringing in a touch of modernity, but not being cold about it and having it sound like every other piece of modern music that's out there. Because it's similar, like here in America, not even just when it comes to music, but when it comes to just every other piece in culture as well. You take a look, and you take a sight line at like anybody's house now that's being built. It's all the same. It's all like the same floors, the same walls, the same color, same appliances. It's like if you're an American, you're watching the Home and Garden channel, any house renovation show, it's like, oh, let's show off your new house. It's the same house. I don't want to see the same house over and over again. I don't want to hear the same modern take on music over and over again. You can sprinkle it in there, but as long as it doesn't feel cold, it doesn't feel sterile. That's the key.
Of course.
And you guys did not let that happen, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Cool. Because it's hard to get out of the album and be sure that it doesn't sound like all the other bands. But yeah, it's hard, man. Like those days, it's at the same time it's cool because we know that like home recording is getting so huge, and it's cool at the same time
Mm-hmm.
because bands can create songs easily and have a good sound, which is very great. But yeah, you have to get out of all the same like kick and snare samples, the same guitar tone. But yeah, I think yeah, the good thing was that Flo knew the band since I mean we share stages like for many years. So he was listening to the band when he was younger. So he knew the band, and by just talking and communication with him, he understood what he had to do with the production. So yeah, we're very happy about it.
You should be very happy. It absolutely worked out. Once again, everybody, Chapter 4, Red Falcon Super Battle, Neo Paris War comes out on November 14th. Now, B, I know you got to get going soon, but I got one more question I want to ask you before I
Sure.
wrap this up. It is a question I've been asking every artist I bring on the podcast. It's a way for us to get to know more great new music and for you to get to support the music you love. So we're not here all day. I'm only going to ask for 3. So, B, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into right now?
Okay, I'll give you 3 French band. I'll try. I'll
Perfect.
give you Solitaris, which okay, they're crazy. Solitaris is a they have, we were talking about being unique,
Mm-hmm.
and they are unique in the sound, in the visual and stuff. Very and so cool, great guys, great guys. So Solitaris, I will say Free Howling, which are it's kind of a mix too of rap and very modern music. Like probably 1056.
Yep.
It's kind of a new way of doing 1056, which is cool. And another one, hmm, you got me on this one. Uh, uh, which one I can say? I mean, I got other bands, but they are already. I say Resolve, but Resolve are already like kind of making it. But yeah, Resolve. So Solitaris, Freeoling, and Resolve.
I understand what you're saying about with Resolve, where it's like I want to give other bands a shout out because they're kind of starting to make it right now. I know they
Mm.
just came over to the US for the first time, but I've had Resolve on the podcast multiple times, dating all the way back to like 2021. So when they get brought up, it's, I'm always going to have a smile on my face because I just
Mm.
continue to see the rise from all the way back then. It's just, this is good stuff. So I'm always
Yeah,
happy to
yeah.
hear their name pop up.
No. Yeah, that is so cool. And just to finish, there is something very cool going on in France right now. I think probably a lot of people saw it, but there is so much many band. I mean, Landmvrks is one of
Mhm.
the top like new generation band that coming out, and they're. I mean, when we started the bands like 15 years ago, there was not that much of the French scene, and
Mhm.
right now it's like popping, and it's cool for every French band. So it's amazing.
It's amazing. We got to keep it rolling, got to keep it going. You offered some suggestions on how to keep it going. You got bands to listen to as well. But my suggestion is on November 14th, listen to Chapter 4, Red Falcon Super Battle, Neo Paris War by Rise of the Northstar. Listen to the rest of their music as well. Why not? You're going to find something
Yeah,
you enjoy for sure.
definitely.
Definitely.
We
Well,
will.
B, I want to thank you for taking the time to come to the Chord Progression Podcast. It was a pleasure to have you on here. And I'm going to end this with 3 things. So first things first, everybody, when it comes to Rise of the Northstar and the brand new album, I know I've said a number of times, long tail, but I don't care. Chapter 4, Red Falcon Super Battle, Neo Paris War on November 14th. Go script from the podcast where it says find Rise of the Northstar online. Links, labels for everything are going to be there. Find them on social media where you can get the music, where you can listen to it, where you can go get some merch, and when they're going to be touring in Europe and Latin America, where you can find those tickets. So go down there, go check it out. I've done all the research. All you got to do is click, tap, go. That's it. Now it's time for number 2B. Whenever I've guests in the podcast, I enjoy them the podcast. I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say thank you. I appreciate you taking the time, and I wish to continue to support the band in the future. So I hope there's a US run coming up and you get with you guys soon. Otherwise, I'm going to have to make it a trip over to Europe. But when that does happen and when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I will come and find you. I will come and say hello to you. But that is not the actual promise. The real promise is that first round's on me.
Okay, got you.
And
I will
as I
note it. I will note it.
Perfect. And as I always say to every artist, hold me accountable to that. I'm always happy to make that happen. Just I know at times with shows it kind of can get a little wacky, but if all of a sudden it's like you see me walk through, it's like, hey, you owe me a beer, you owe me a drink. I'll look and be like, oh shit, I do. What do you want?
You got so much beers to offer to the people now.
Oh God, there's still so many I still got to pay up on because sometimes it's hard to see bands, but it is what it is. But B, now it's time for number 3. As we wrap this up, I do not want to end this by saying goodbye. That is way too final. This is a great episode. I'd love to bring you back on the podcast in the future, and I got to make good on that promise. So goodbye. Nah, this is. I'll see you later.
Of course. See you later, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, folks, my interview with B from Rise of the Northstar. Now it's time for Kevin's final thoughts. Now, when I heard French metalcore, hardcore rap manga band, initially I was like, this is going to be wild. This is going to be wacky. But I also didn't fully understand the connection to manga, especially when the band was founded all the way back in 2008. Now, I think I mentioned during the podcast before, but I'm also coming from the American perspective here. When it came to anime and manga, I mean, unless it was like Pokemon in the late 90s, early 2000s, you really heard nothing about it. You really saw nothing of it of the sorts here in America. And if you had talked to people that were into it, it was like, especially in school at the time when I was in school, like people were bullied for it or ostracized for it because it was considered weird or different, or from a cartoon perspective, it wasn't SpongeBob or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I fucking love SpongeBob. But over the past 10 years, you've seen the explosion in popularity of anime, of manga, especially in other parts of the Western world. I had no idea that France had already been a part of that for so long and had been fully into it. So now it makes sense. And what B was also talking about as well when it comes to artists not sounding cold, not sounding sterile, not sounding overly modern like every other band, trying to bring in influences from their culture, from where they're from, to add more of an authenticity to it. We brought up bands like The Who, we brought up bands like Bloodywood and some other Japanese bands as well, and it absolutely makes sense. So as an artist, when you're able to take so many of those things that you love and influences and really understand them, but then incorporate them in your music in unique ways, that's when you get something that you can take that metalcore, hardcore, rap, manga infusion, like what Rise of the Northstar has, and absolutely make it work. We talked about how they made it work on songs like Payback, how they talked about how they worked it in like Nemesis, Back to Basics with Landmvrks, and what Landmvrks has helped them out with this album. Yeah, this is one you definitely want to go check out. So I want to thank B for coming to the podcast today. When it comes to Rise of the Northstar, go script the podcast below. Links, labels for everything, where to find them down there. Make sure you go follow along them online. Go check out their music videos. Go listen to the brand new album, Chapter 4. Red Falcon Super Battle in the Paris War when it comes out November 14th, and go and see them play live as they're closing out 2025 with tours in Europe and Latin America. Please also follow us in the Chord Progression Podcast. Link, subscribe to the podcast below, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Hit subscribe right down here if you have not hit the subscribe button yet. Hit the like button somewhere down here if you haven't hit that yet. Also do that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hit the like or button on the episodes. Hit the subscribe or follow button. Always help us out. Get us from that number 14 spot all the way to number 1. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, B. Thank you, audience. And that's going to be me. Thank you very much for listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes. Big, healthy, and hearty. See ya. Yeah.